Allie, can you read the first paragraph, please?
Ollie spent all day long swimming around that small bowl, ducking through the fake log, then swimming around again. He always swam in the same direction. The only time he'd change his course was when Mom dropped a few grains of fish food into his bowl each morning and evening. I'd watch him gobble the food, then poop it out, then swim around and around once again. I felt sorry for him.
Can you please explain this paragraph?
This paragraph is about how the girl feels like Ollie's always swimming around and around, and she feels bad for him.
That's correct. Can you read the second paragraph, please?
At least I got to go outside and to the store and to school. Ollie just swam in a circle all day. I wondered if fish ever slept, but any time I woke up in the middle of the night, Ollie was still swimming, his little mouth opening and closing like he was trying to say something. One day when I was about 7, Ollie jumped out of his bowl. I had been listening to music on the radio. Mom had finally figured out that I liked country music, Western station, and I was in a good mood. The music was sounding orangey and yellowish as I listened, and the faint whiff of lemons seemed to surround me. I felt real mellow as I watched Ollie do his thing round and round his bowl.
Great job. Can you explain that paragraph, please?
This paragraph is about how she feels like she goes to sleep, but then Ollie's always swimming, and she wonders if he ever sleeps. And yeah.
That's good. Okay, so now we'll learn about grammar today, and we're going to learn about the present perfect continuous, and we'll use this page a little later on. So I'll explain the present perfect continuous tense first. Do you know anything about that? Have you ever learned that?
No.
It's also called the perfect progressive tense. It shows an action has started in the past, continued up until another time in the past. The past perfect continuous tense is constructed using had been plus a verb plus ing. I'll write that on the board. Had been plus a verb plus ing at the end of that verb. Unlike the present perfect continuous, which indicates an action that had begun in the past and continued up to the present, the past perfect continuous is a verb tense that indicates something had begun in the past, continued in the past, and is also ended at a defined point in the past. So it began in the past, continued into the past, and then ended at a defined point still in the past. So, for an example, he had been drinking milk out of the carton when Mom walked into the kitchen. So, is this in the past or the present?
This is in the past.
Yes, because he had been drinking and then he walked. So, he had been drinking, which continued into the past, and then, do you know what the defining point in the past is?
No.
It's when his mom walked in. So, he had been drinking milk out of the carton when his mom walked into the kitchen. So another example is, I had been working at the company for 5 years when I got the promotion. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you can also use the words when, for, since, and before following the past perfect continuous. So I'll write that on the board. When, for, since, and before. So use these following the past perfect continuous. For example, Martha had been walking 3 miles a day before she broke her leg. Another example, the program that was terminated had been working well since 1945. Kathy had been playing the piano for 35 years when she was finally asked to do a solo for the local orchestra. He had been throwing rocks at her window for 5 minutes before she finally came out on the balcony and said, "Hey, Romeo." So, do you understand this? Do you have any questions?
No.
Okay. Can you make an example sentence, please, using this? And you can incorporate when, for, since, or before.
I had been listening to music on the radio.
That's correct. Can you incorporate one of these in a sentence?
Since I had been listening to music, I,
Yep, so you would say, it's okay.
Wait, am I supposed to read this one then?
No, you can just make up your own.
Wait, then.
So you can say like, I had been studying when my mom walked into the room or something like that.
Okay.
So in your book, can you find another example of present perfect continuous and read it to me?
I had been listening to music on the radio.
That's perfect. Can you please identify which part is present perfect continuous?
I had been listening.
That's right. So verb plus ing. So is that sentence positive, negative, or a question?
Positive.
That's correct.
How do you know if a sentence is positive, negative, or a question?
That's a good question. Let's go over that right now. So we'll use the example to buy in the past perfect continuous. So first we're going to use a pronoun. Do you know what a pronoun is?
Yes.
What is a pronoun?
A pronoun is a word like he, she, it, they.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll use a pronoun plus the past perfect continuous and a form of to buy. So for example, the positive form is I had been buying. So I'll write that on the board. I'll erase this first. So positive is I had been buying. Had been buying something. And then the negative form is, you know what the negative form would be?
I had not been buying.
Yeah, that's correct. I had not been buying something. And then the question form, what would the question form be?
Have you been buying?
Yes. Had. You say have or had. You been buying. So that's pretty easy. So can you make an example of the positive form using the pronoun you and the word in the phrase to buy?
You have been buying groceries.
Yes, exactly. Can you make an example with the same thing using negative?
You have not been buying groceries.
And a question?
Have you been buying groceries?
So it has to be had. So
Okay.
had you been buying groceries?
Okay.
That's the past. So positive can also be called the affirmative. I'll write that here. It's just another word for it, but you can just say positive. Affirmative. And the negative is just negative. And question is also called interrogative. Interrogative. We can just use a simple word here. So can you please make an example using the pronoun you in the past perfect continuous for the phrase to buy in the positive form?
You have been buying groceries?
Yeah, that's correct. Can you make it in the negative form?
You had not been buying groceries?
That's correct. And as a question?
Had you been buying groceries?
Yep, that's correct. Okay, so another example with the pronoun she is she hadn't been buying groceries. Had she been buying groceries? So can you make one more example with the pronoun we and the phrase to buy?
We had been buying groceries.
Mhm.
We had not been buying groceries.
Question?
Had we been buying groceries?
Yeah, that's correct. So let's do one more. Can you make an example with the pronoun they?
They had been buying groceries. They had not been buying groceries. Had they been buying groceries?
Yep, that's correct. Okay, so now that we're done with that, we'll go over some sentences and we can fill in the blanks. So I'll do it orally. So the sentence is, they blank for over an hour before Tony finally arrived. And you're going to use the past perfect continuous form of talk. So they blank for an hour before Tony finally arrived using the word talk. Do you know how to answer that?
Yes. They had been talking for an hour.
Yep. So I'll give you the sentences so you can see it. So the first
They
question?
Had been talking for over an hour before Tony finally arrived.
That's correct. So the next sentence is, she blank at that company for 3 years before it went out of business. And can use the past perfect continuous form of work.
She had been working at that company for 3 years before it went out of business.
Perfect. So this number 3 is a little bit more difficult because you'll have to use a pronoun plus the past perfect continuous. So, how long blank at the bus stop? Using the word wait and a pronoun. You know how to answer that?
Yes. How long had you been waiting at the bus stop?
Yeah, that's perfect. The next one, Mike wanted to sit down because he blank all day at work.
Mike wanted to sit down because he had been standing all day at work.
Yep, that's correct. And the last one, James blank at the university for more than a year before he left for Asia. And the word is teach.
James had been teaching at the university for more than a year before he left for Asia.
It's perfect. So I think you understand it now. So can you give me one more example before we finish the lesson?
Jamie had been swimming before she broke her ankle.
Yeah, that's perfect. Okay, thank you.